Peace, and welcome to another episode of the Grown Man Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Baith Noureddin, and as promised, every episode, I thank you for pulling up, for tuning in, for engaging, because although the primary of this is to have conversations, there's no gimmick, there's no angle, there's no cause necessarily other than to have discussions with other men in regards to this journey through maturation. That's the long and short of it. I don't know if it's an anti-podcast to have a podcast that doesn't have an angle, but I guess the title is the angle, right? Grown Man Shift. So I'm appreciative of people who are willing to share their time, their experiences, their life's journey on wax, because it does leave room for judgment or misinterpretation. I'll just say that. So thank you. Today's episode is sponsored by some more of the growth in my journey by way of ChatGPT. So I saw a prompt on IG that really motivated me to want to explore, right? Because for a long time on IG, I have all of these folders of things that I think are cool ideas, different date ideas for me and a wife, or different date ideas for me and a family, different places to visit and foods to eat and recipes to try and so forth and so on. And a lot of that stuff that is in those folders, I haven't really made an effort or the energy to like delve into a lot of it. The dating folder for me and a wife, that's like the strongest one, that and the family. But there's a lot of other tabs, other folders that I have that I'm like, man, this would be a cool idea to try. I'm a handy guy. I know how to build things. I know how to create things with my hands, right? So there's plenty of projects that I see that I'm like, man, I want to try that. Reupholstering the couch, man, that's easy. I did it before. My point is, when I got this, I didn't send it to the save folder for it to get lost. I decided to implement it right there on the spot. And this prompt basically is an exploration of how you view yourself and how you view the world at large, and the relationship that you have with you and the relationship that you have with the world at large. And chat asked 10 questions. I answered the questions, and once I answered the questions, it gave me like this higher self perspective or line of engagement that I thought was pretty cool. What it gave me at the end, this is like a message from my higher self. I was like, yeah, let's talk about this, right? The message from your higher self. You are not behind. You are not too much. You are not late. You are in perfect timing for your expansion. The world doesn't need you to try harder. It needs you to trust deeper. Your light already moves people. Your joy will open more doors than effort ever could. Speak from your center. Move from your peace. Rest without guilt. And most of all, lean into what you already know. You are ready. Whoever did this prompt, right? Meaning like whoever executed the prompt. If you got the same thing, then cool. Meaning this message could be the message that gets sent to everybody who does this, right? Regardless of what, it resonates to me. And I figured, let me see if it resonates with other people, right? Because this is a community. This is a safe space for us to explore the deeper versions of who we are and how we show up, right? because this is what we do here, right? So the line that got me the most, right? The world doesn't need you to try harder. It needs you to trust deeper. And that, man, just set my brain on fire. Just with the amount of situations, remembrances of how I started to lose trust in the world. It is what it is, right? There's a lot of turning into a hermit that was sparked by being in relationship with other people who weren't necessarily forthcoming or with good intentions or with the best of wanting to see you win more than them, right? And for a long time, I was jaded. I can't hold you. Even getting to this point with, collaborating with my brothers on another podcast, shout to What You Thought, being able to build something from nothing, going through adversity, through that process of making the What You Thought podcast what it is today, right? There's a certain level of, and shout to Reg, I'm gonna just shout to Reg, because Reg and I had known each other through mutual people, right? And we had collaborated on something, and he like, yo, man, you got to pull up to the studio. You know what I mean? We doing this, that, and the third, blah, 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 whatever. Like, this is before What You Thought started recording, right? And because I was jaded from past situations that didn't necessarily turn out with the best, result, right? There's people to this day that I don't speak to, not because of some grimy shit happening behind the scenes. It just, whatever situation, vehicle we were in at the time, because it didn't breed a certain level of success, or because there was adversity that we didn't know how to navigate through, there's no communication. And no ill will, no none of that. I wish whoever ain't rocking like with me in a close, like we just reaching out to each other, I wish you nothing but success. And I can't recall a long list of people that are on there, but it may be some people I haven't spoken to in a while, and maybe they feel like, hey man, we ain't talk, so fuck you. It could be that. And if it is that, what can I do, right? My point is, trusting deeper has been challenged so many different ways and various situations along this journey. So getting here required a certain level of trusting deeper that I feel like I'm just getting to a place where I trust it. I trust the divine. I trust my intentions. I trust my relationships. I trust my perspective. And maybe it's me trusting me more that's allowing me to trust these other situations, areas, relationships more. But I can say I haven't thought about it until this prompt, not in this way. Like, for a long time, and I think anybody could relate, trying harder, going harder, you know what I mean? Like, man, you got to go hard. You got to go 10 times as hard. You can't sleep. You got to just be up 78 hours a minute and still make it work. And that's cool, right? But the other line that got me was rest without guilt. Feel me? Because there's a lot of times that sleeping be feeling like, man, I'm doing a crime because there's so much shit to do. as if resting isn't one of the most important things to do. It's like breathing. Like you can't really exist without breathing. So how can you exist without rest? Like sufficient rest, not bullshit rest, not, and maybe you have the flexibility of taking cat naps all day. And that, from what I hear and what I've researched, does work. I mean, Da Vinci and Albert Einstein are recorded as being people who took frequent naps throughout the day. So maybe it worked for them. Maybe it could work for us. Speaking for myself, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle because I have felt guilty about resting. True story. So when my son was younger, every summer, my wife, my kids would go away for a weekend with my in-laws, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my cousin-in-law, right? So, which means I'm in the house by myself. I'm in the house with no kids, no wife, no domestic responsibility, like immediate. I could kind of just do whatever I want to do, right? It was so difficult to get into a groove of relaxation because I feel like, well, now that I don't have the perceived responsibility, right, of doing husband shit or doing father shit, right, I could do my me shit if I so choose, because I don't have to weigh it against if I need to be present versus if I need to be proactive on some other shit, right? So it was so difficult to get comfortable that it started to make me really think about all of it. Like, why does it feel guilty for me to rest? Bona fide rest. And not to say that there aren't things that can be done, but at what point does rest become a priority and not a happenstance? Not a, oh, by the way, not a, I mean, I'm getting to the money. I'll sleep when I get the money, right? And I'm saying it that way because it's like, man, sleep might come a little bit quicker and more permanent by not getting sufficient amount of rest, right? So this prompt and what it gave me is just sparking so many different avenues of perspective that I just felt like, man, let me share what my journey is and what my experience is, and we can compare notes because I'm gonna put the prompt in here at some point, and maybe you could use it, and I'll credit the person that I got it to when I put it in the show notes. So, but let's continue, right? So, trusting deeper, resting without guilt, started to spark other schools of thought, right? Because this year I'll be 45 in a few weeks, actually. And for a long time I felt like I was supposed to be somewhere else, and where I was presently wasn't it. And that battle of feeling like I had to get to this place that I should be, even though I never really defined it. Hence the going hard and not sleeping and not taking care of myself and not doing all of the things that is necessary to sustain it. Like, yeah, I might spend a lot of energy, all of my energy, trying to obtain it. But then once I get it, do I have the energy or the will or the trust or whatever it is, right, to sustain it, to keep it going, to live in it, and then practically think about how to grow it into the next thing, and then rinse and repeat, right? expansion is not easy. It requires a lot of moving one thought process out of the way or adding that thought process to another thought process that together creates this different view. And kind of lost my place because I'm not I have notes, but I don't have bullets of what I want to talk about. This is just like what I got from this. I'm sharing my experience, and then at the end, I'll give the prompt for you to try it and see what you came up with. Ultimately, to see if this message from higher self is the same for you as it was for me. Because then, regardless of what, if it resonates, great. And if it doesn't resonate, cool. I would also like to hear why. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it doesn't resonate. Maybe it's something that you feel like, I don't know, dog. I've always been whatever kind of person you've been, and this doesn't apply. But for conversation's sake, let's go in. So this belief system that I've fostered from these various situations that created this mistrust, and these various situations that have gave me the permission to relax, to tap in, to not feel like if I'm not pouring out somehow I'm doing something incorrectly, right? You gotta. And I'm recognizing and realizing that you don't have to. You don't have to. You choose to, and based on the choices that you choose, it determines what level of what power or energy or chutzpah or get to it or whatever you want to call it demands. So I've moved from this space of feeling like I have to have it a certain kind of way, because if it's not a certain kind of way, I'm not really doing it right, to defining it ultimately for myself and then moving and building tenements and pillars based on that, right? Because trust is paramount. You know, I was alluding to the beginning of me and Reg connecting, how there was a lot happening at that time personally that also made my trust falter, my trust in myself, because I tried something, but I didn't really give it all, or there's certain situations that I self-sabotaged because I just felt like I was comparing me to all of the times I fucked something up, and not in a place of like, you know, I made the wrong decision and that decision was costly. It was more so because I didn't trust in myself and I was listening to the voices around me, what I saw would be a necessary thing to do or a necessary perspective to at least voice. I just kind of stayed silent. I stayed silent. You know what I mean? I danced around it. I didn't really give it that face-to-face, head-on, like, no, this is what I'm seeing. Regardless if we agree to do this or not, this other perspective I feel like should be considered if this is the direction we're going to go in, right? So this trust that I started building in myself allowed me to start being more trustful of situations outside of me, situations that I didn't have control. Like, if it's just me and I'm dealing with me, I have all control. If I don't do it, I don't do it because I control me. If I do it, I do it because I control me. If somebody else don't do it, I can't control that. And it's not really healthy either, because even in those situations, there's some level of learning or some level of experience or some level of teaching that comes out of it if growth and I'll just say that if growth is a part of that process, like it just is what it is, right? I'm not sick of, because it is what it is, because I adhere to it as well. But there's a place that gets a little annoyed at the fact that we're being manipulated into thinking that somehow there's like one way to live life. And there is no one way to live life. This beginning part of the higher self message that I got from chat, right? You are not behind, you are not too much, you are not late. A lot of this mentality that we're taught always makes us feel late. Always makes us feel like we're behind. It always makes us feel like we're just one thing away from realizing this thing that we can realize, just as long as we're enough of whatever everybody else expects, and that's cool. But it's not cool. Like, the expression of who you are, the expression of who I am is different for a reason. It's not the same because that's just how everybody should be. Like, if everybody should be a certain kind of way, everybody would be a certain kind of way. That's just how it is. I don't think the creator in all of creation, with all of the variations that creation is, created every human being to be exactly the same. Maybe from the we're all human and we experience the certain level of emotions, then if that's the case, emotions aren't necessarily racially based. Emotions are emotions. Sadness is sadness. Shame is shame. Guilt is guilt. Happiness is happiness. Joy is joy. Grief is grief for everybody. Man and woman. Child and senior. Like, we all at least share that in common. And I think our different upbringings, the perspectives that we have, by sharing them with each other, it just allows different perspectives to take shape, to form, that aren't harmful, that aren't divisive, that aren't things that are used to separate as opposed to congregate, right? We don't necessarily have to agree on staple views of what we believe in specifically if sensibility is something that we share in common. Not common sense, but sensibility. Because let's talk about that real quick. When people be like, man, people just don't have no common sense, it's such a disservice to exactly what I'm speaking to, the individual and all of us. If something was common to everybody, then it would just be common to everybody. And I think those things, like joy, is common to everybody. Like exactly what I just said. All of those things are common to everybody. Sadness, pain, grief, all of those things. So if those things are common, then I think having a healthy level of sensibility around those things would quell a lot of the differences that we do have. It would at least give us the room to see what it feels like individually, right? Being okay that even if I'm the only person that feels this way, this specific way, because it's always context, then maybe it is a good thing. And maybe this experience that I'm experiencing solo, right, through my own eyes, through my own perspective, maybe sharing this with somebody else will be the puzzle piece that helps that other person navigate. Or maybe because I'm sharing this perspective, somebody else has a perspective that once they share it to me, it becomes a puzzle piece to what I need to navigate, right? So I just dislike the fact that the way things are, we're pitted against each other to be, to think, to feel, to have, to express. And it's not fair. Why do we need a multitude of colors for expression? Like through nature, there's a plethora of colors, right? But then as the human experience, we're expected to all see black and white when there's mad hue between the two. Like it just is. So maybe it's a blue day, maybe it's a yellow day, maybe it's a green day, maybe it's whatever color represents the emotion or the state of mind that we're in. Maybe that is the benefit. Maybe that range and acknowledging the range is the perspective that allows us to just treat each other with a little bit more humanity and not as a transaction, not as a I'm doing some shit for you, so you got to do some shit for me, as opposed to like, well, because I am who I am and I'm providing value and I'm providing solutions to problems, it allows me to take care of myself. And because it allows me to take care of myself, the abundance that I have, the overflow that I have, it allows me to peek into some of these other issues and problems and just give a little bit more without the return of the problems that I directly solve to feed my family, right? I.e., a 9 to 5. Go to my 9 to 5, the 5 days a week that I'm supposed to be there, and that trading of my time to receive this monetary gain, this transaction, gives me the space, time, and energy to work on all of these other things that I'm working on. These endeavors and passions and thoughts and perspectives and hypotheses that I have is allowing me to tap into these things, right? Going back to the prompt, trusting deeper, trusting that whatever I'm working on doesn't solely benefit me. It benefits the people that I'm creating it for. Yeah, this podcast, it benefits me. It benefits me because it gives me a place to have conversation, right? That's the benefit. Whatever monetary thing comes from this, that's not my aim. That's not my goal. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the value, which is not the money. The value is the relationships that I'm building. The value is the growth that I'm experiencing. The advantage is in this world full of so many personalities, so many perspectives, that there's a bona fide place that I can reserve and occupy that adds to it and doesn't take away from it. That gives the stroke that the creator gave it more altitude, more depth, more contrast, right? So I'll leave that at that. One of the things that chat gave was talking about reframing and action steps, because the prompt not only asks a question, but it also asks for tips and other ways to navigate. So to reframe, what I put into the prompt for, to give me back this, I need feedback to feel safe committing to my path. So the people pleasing Baith moved on a lot of things in silence so it wouldn't be judged, so I can control what I feel about it and what I intend on doing with it. So once I present it, what other people's perspectives are doesn't change the creation that I'm creating. I have enough skin in the game and the roots are deep enough that no matter what wind blows of somebody's critique or perspective or you know what you should do with it, I can kind of I can stand on 10 toes, right? Because it's easy. It's easy to be like, oh man, you know what? This. And then somebody be like, oh, you know what? This to that. And then being like, man, that sounds great. And then trying it, but then it kind of it's like a detour. The intended destination is still there somewhere in the distance, but the route that was initially set out on has taken a detour. And now that I'm putting these things out, this space of feeling like I need somebody's okay, thumbs up, approval, that this idea that I have is good enough or safe enough or means enough. It's like, it don't really matter in the face of solving a problem. Like, does it solve the problem or not? Does it add value or not? And if I can say it solves a problem, yes, it adds value, yes, what somebody else thinks about it or feels about it, if it's not them receiving the value or the benefit, then why does it even matter in the first place? Like, it has no relevance. And a lot of times this wind that blows call other people's perspective, they're not, one, a lot of people wouldn't even be willing to pay for whatever it is that you're offering. One, because it's you and there's an expectation of a discount, or I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of times in my experience that made me consider even putting this prompt into AI as an exercise, that was a place. It's a real place of feeling like, damn, people will use you the fuck up. They will use you up. Maybe intentional, maybe unintentional. Whatever the case is, the sum difference is you're used up, right? And it's not a even exchange. It's somebody profiting off of your ability or your effort or your energy or your perspective or your creativity or your go hard or whatever it is, right? Somebody else is benefiting off of that. And in return, they have no mechanism or no vehicle in order for you to be compensated, whether it's through fulfillment or whether it's through monetary gain or whether it's through relationships or whatever. Like, they'll gatekeep the relationship just so you don't have the direct connection, and then you can't really get paid a certain type of way for your skill or your talent or the value you bring, right? Or the problem you solve, because somebody wants to be the middleman to guide that. And that's not what's up. So instead of overthinking all of this space, instead of putting what I learned to put in it, slowly but surely I've been taking it out. I would say over the last 10 years or so, I've been taking it out, right? And I know a lot of that has to do with raising my youngest son. The type of dad I've become, the type of man I've become was directly related to paying attention to how I'm being just as a person, what my energy is. Am I irritated easily? Why am I irritated? Why is that bothering me? Like having this level of exploration. So to get to this prompt after all of these different years of kind of just navigating through it, this gave me that, I don't want to say reassurance, but it felt reassuring knowing that my efforts have been in a good place. Like not in a place to show off or a place to show out, but all of the places that were really beneficial that I could show up, right? So I feel like, obviously there's more room to grow. There's plenty of places that I can tighten up in my health journey. Like I'm figuring out what this level or at this juncture in my journey, what does it look like? When I was 243 pounds, my journey was just to get to under 200. Like I was like, yo, if I can get to like 190 something, I'll be cool. I've been riding on 190 something to 210-ish for the past 5 years. Before that, I was 174 pounds. I was looking crazy. I went from like husky to like thin air. And damn it, did people think I was sick. That's how slim I got. But my health journey now doesn't mean what it meant then. What it meant then, I was scared as shit. I'm watching my uncle go through a double amputation because of diabetes. And I was like, hell no. Not having feet or the ability to just get up and walk around and do shit, it scared me. Like, so yes, I have growth in areas that I'm pushing toward. I have places that I see could use some housekeeping that I will get to. But the prompt just, it put a lot in perspective, and I don't want to continue further without giving it. So the prompt, the prompt, please ask me 10 questions, one at a time, to uncover the beliefs I currently hold about myself and the world. After I answer all 10 questions, 1, role play as my higher self to analyze my responses and identify my top 3 limiting beliefs and my top 3 expansive beliefs. Number 2, reflect on true origins of these beliefs, helping me understand where they come from. 3, assist me in reframing any limiting beliefs and suggest actionable steps I can take to transform them into empowering narratives. 4, share a message of encouragement or wisdom that I need to hear right now. So I started with the message that I got from my higher self, which was, you are not behind. You are not too much. You are not late. You are in perfect timing for your expansion. The world doesn't need you to try harder. It needs you to trust deeper. Your light already moves people. Your joy will open more doors than effort ever could. Speak from your center. Move from your peace. Rest without guilt. And most of all, lean into what you already know. You are ready. So, 1, let me know if you got that same prompt that same message from your exercise with this prompt. And how do you feel about it? You know what I mean? And then Secondly, if you have a perspective that is slightly different than this one, I would like to know. I would like to know what the expansive beliefs were, what the limiting beliefs were. My top 3 limiting beliefs: I must avoid pressure by pleasing others or delaying my own goals. I talked about that. Overthinking mistakes will prevent failure. Scarcity is still lingering somewhere deep because I grew up in a crazy duality. I got to feel what it felt like to be in abundance, and I got to feel what it felt like to be in lack. I've always had the expansive thought of, becoming wealthy one day and buying a mansion and buying my mom a new car and retiring my family. And I've had those thoughts. But I also have had the anchor of not really truly believing that because of my scarcity experience, because of having lack as, a duality in my childhood. So a lot of this exercise just confirmed certain things. It opened up other things, and it made me question a lot of who I am today and what I believe in today, and how did I get to the space that I believe in what I believe? Because I believe without questioning it. How do you really know if it's solid? How do you really know that you're operating from a place of peace, or you're operating from a place of chaos when you never examine it? Like, ever, never. You never question your motives. You never question your reasoning behind your doing certain things. Why do you hang out with certain people? Or why do you indulge in certain things you indulge in, whether it's creatively or not creatively? Like, at some point, assessing and taking inventory is necessary, I think, for every person. But this is the Grown Man Shift podcast. I think for every man, it's important that we take inventory. It's important that we evaluate and reevaluate why we doing what we doing. Because unintentionally causing harm or inflicting pain is one thing when you are unaware, right? But as we get older, the importance of self-reflection, it matters, because unknowingly doing harm for your entire life, no matter what age you are, no matter what stage you are in, it's not really, it doesn't speak to maturity. It doesn't speak to embodying that protective space, not just for yourself, but for the people that you are around as a man. So, as always, I'm going to just go ahead and land the plane there. But this was an interesting one. Like, this prompt is four quick questions, or 3 quick questions, and something to give you perspective. And I think it might be dope to just try it. And if you do, hit me up at grownmanshitpodcast@gmail.com so we can discuss. I haven't gotten an email yet, and maybe because I'm not saying it enough, but please email me. Let's discuss. Let's not pretend like there isn't some level of addition of value that you have as a listener, you have as a watcher. You do, or else you wouldn't be here. I just keep it like that. I'm not this guru that has this wealth of knowledge and wisdom and experience. I do, but it's not the end all be all. I want to talk about this shit because I want us to trade notes and figure out how we can be of service to each other. You know what I mean? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing if you already have and already do. Yeah, man, this is The Assessment. And I'm your host, Baith Noordin. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Grown Man Shift podcast. And yeah, man, I got some guests lined up, and this is going to be cool. Summer 2025. Looking forward to it. All right. Peace. I'm out.